So what were we discussing in the previous session? Cart and cart item. These were the classes that we were working on. Correct? Hello? So tell me, as of now, when it comes to the class called as the cart class, and also I had a class called as cart item. So cart and cart item dot Java. So what was there in the cart item dot Java? It was a normal Pojo class. Will you agree with me? Yes. Sir, looking at that class, I was creating some items. I was adding it into cart map. So if I have to tell you in cart.java, cart.java was a class which had a map. Will you agree? What was the name of the map? You named it as cart. Map was a cart. What else did you have inside the cart class? Sir, I was having a method called as add to cart or add method. Then I was having a method called as update method. Then I also had a method called as the delete or remove method. Yes or no? Apart from that, you also had a clear method as well. Clear, reset, whatever methods. These were the methods that you had with respect to cart.java. So, whatever this cart.java that you had, what was this cart.java doing? It was just having some methods, right? It was, is it interacting with the database? Cart.java is not interacting with the database, rather it was interacting with a map. Will you agree with me? It was interacting with a map. Now, whatever it is interacting, it was used to store, retrieve, perform operations on data. Will you agree with me? It was just for storing data, retrieving data, performing operations on data. If you look at your project, what type of files were interacting with storing, retrieving or updating data? What were the type of files? DAO implementation files, sir. So you can consider your cart.java as DAO implementation. But in reality, it is not a regular DAO implementation because it is not performing any operations on database, but it is performing operations on the local memory, which is my map. Local data called as my map. I hope you are able to understand this. Hello? Okay, sir. Now I have understood this, which means my DAO implementation, what was my DAO implementation doing? Using the Pojo class, it used to create an object, store the object into the database. Retrieve the object, use the DAO class to create, use the Pojo class to create an object, give it to the user. So this class also is doing the same thing. But only thing is, it is not interacting with the database. Now tell me, can your DAO implementation files execute directly? When I say DAO implementation, what type of files are they? They are model files. If model files have to interact, or if model files have to execute, who should give the control? Servlet, or in other words, controllers, sir. So, cart related files, whatever I have created now, they are just model files that I have created till now. Cart related, they are just model files that I have created till now. Along with this, what do I need? Servlet, will you agree? So still I haven't created this servlet, will you agree with me? Right. Now, if I just have to tell you, resize. Okay. So as of now, I am in one page which I would probably call it as menu.jsp. This is where I am currently. Will you agree with me? What is there in this menu.jsp, sir? I was able to display menu items to the user. You know, name of the item, price of the item, ratings, other information I was able to display. Then this item had a button called as add to cart. Will you agree with me? It had something called as add to cart. In this way, there were many items. In this way, there were many items. Will you agree with me? And each item had an item ID as well. Item ID 1, item ID 2, item ID 3, item ID 4, item ID 5, item ID 6. In this way, each item had an item ID. So, what I want you to do here is, see, if I just open one single item and show you what is there. So, let me assume this is a menu item, individual menu item, which will have a menu ID. Assume the menu ID is 1. You need to display the image for this menu item, whatever is the image that you have stored. Then name of the item, price of the item, ratings of the item, etc. And then there is one add to cart. There is a button called as add to cart. So while the user is entering this add to cart, maybe I want you to also mention quantity. How much quantity do you want to add to cart? Right? So here I will say I will give a input box. It is a number input. Minimum value I will write it as 1. So when you are displaying, this is how it will be displayed for all the items. As soon as I say add to cart, quantity should be 1. I hope you are able to understand this. No sir, I don't want to add 1 item. I want to add 10 items. The user can there only make changes and say add to cart. I hope you are able to understand this. Hello? So now as soon as the user clicks on this add to cart, what should happen? You need to collect 2 information. First, which item the user is adding. First one is which item the user is adding. The second one is how much quantity he is adding. By default, if I don't write quantity, you will keep adding 1, 1, 1, 1. But I am saying, boss, don't add 1, 1, 1, 1. Give an option to the user. See, you cannot keep one file here and say add 1 item added. Add. If I want to add 10 items, click for 10 times, sir. At least you should be able to show it to the user, no? How many quantity he is selecting, if he doesn't know. I am a person who would have clicked 3 items. Somebody spoke to me. Again I will go click another 3. I only wanted 3. But 6 I would have ordered. So why I am trying to tell you this is, I want you to think in this perspective. So you need to collect 2 information. What are the 2 informations? First, ID of the item. Second, quantity. Once you collect the ID and the quantity, here for this add to cart, I am going to set an action called as add. Action is add, which means I am calling add action. Now, as soon as I click on this button, control should go to one servlet. Control should go to one servlet, which I will call it as cart servlet. I will call this file as cart servlet. What is the duty of the cart servlet, sir? See, it is not going to check how much is the quantity directly. As soon as the control goes, it will get this action item. What is the action? Add. So, I will have one service method in which I will get the action. What is the action? Add. Action is add. Will you agree with me? For this add, I would have written one method as add to cart. I would have written a method as add to cart. For which I have written this method as add to cart? For an action, add. Add to cart method, what will it do, sir? It will go to the cart.java. It has to call the add method. It will go to cart.java. It will call the add method. If you remember, cart.java add method will accept some information. All that information, it is your add to cart who has to collect. He will collect the menu ID. Menu ID is 1, sir. Where did it go? Menu ID is 1, sir. So menu ID it would have collected. Using the menu ID, it will go get a menu item. Into that menu item, it will add a quantity. What is the quantity? Here, it would have collected the quantity, sir. That quantity also it will add. It will create a cart item. That cart item, it will send it to cart.java. I hope you are able to understand this. Then cart.java will see if item is already there. It will update, take the quantity, add the new quantity with the old quantity. If it is not there, directly it will push it to the map. I hope you are able to understand this. You may have a question for now. Sir, why is that I have to check for the action, sir? The reason is, all cart related operations, I am doing it in one single servlet. If you want, you can say for this button call add cart. Add cart can directly go and call add method from the cart.java, no problem. But a better way to do it is all cart related in one single servlet. Now I am writing add cart. What are the other operations that you can also do for a cart? Update, delete, or clean. So for some other button, I would give the action as update. Then I will call the update method. I will check, is the action update? Then I would call one more method called as update cart. I hope you are able to understand this. For some other button, I would give an action as delete. As soon as I call delete, I will check is the action delete. Then I will call a method called as delete cart, which will call the delete method. I hope you are able to understand this. Banishu, I hope you are able to understand this, right? So, how to do it is something I will tell you, but for now, I hope you have understood this. ಅದು ಫ್ರೈಡೇ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಇದೆ ಶಿವು 13 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ದು, ಅದು ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. LMS ಅಲ್ಲೂ ನೋಡಿದೆ, ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ. I hope you are able to understand this, right? So tell me now, as of now in menu.jsp, what is the first thing that you need to do? Sir, ಶಿವು ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ. ಓ ನಂದೇ ತಪ್ಪ. Okay. So tell me in menu.jsp, what is the first thing that I need to do? add this text field called as quantity, set minimum value as 1. Then I need to bring a add to cart button. And add to cart button, where do I have to send it, sir? I need to send it to cart servlet. Right? I need to send it to cart servlet. So cart servlet, I would have written the mapping as cart servlet only. Right? So the mapping for the cart servlet is cart servlet. How will you say it here? On this button when I click, the action should be cart servlet. Will you agree with me? The action is cart servlet. But while you send this control to the cart servlet, don't you feel this ID you need to set? How will I send this ID? It is not the first time I am doing it, sir. Very simple. I will say cart servlet question mark menu ID, menu underscore or menu ID is equal to, I will use an expression tag and I will say menu item M, I would have told M dot get menu ID. This is not the first time that I am doing it. Hello. So I will send the ID along with the request. I hope you are able to understand this. For this hidden action, I would have written it as add. I don't want it to be visible, so I would have written the action as add with using hidden. I'll just show you the code as well. Don't worry. So once I write this much, what will I be able to do? I will be able to call the cart servlet. Control will go to the cart servlet. What will your cart servlet do? It needs to get the request. So it will say request dot get parameter called as action. So it is going to get a parameter called as action. It will store it inside maybe one variable called as action. Then it will check if action dot equals, does it equals to add. If it is equals to add, then what should I do? Sorry? Call a method called as add to cart. So all this where I am doing all this inside the service method. Will you agree with me? All this I am doing inside the service method. So tell me one thing, in the service method all this I am doing. Where is add to cart? Outside the service method only I should write, sir. Add to cart is here. So if your add to cart is here, what will your add to cart do? It will take ID of the menu item. It will take the quantity of the menu item. Thank you, Shu. It will take the ID and the quantity. Will you agree with me? How will it get the ID and quantity? By using request, sir. Request dot get parameter. But does this method have request with it? Service method has HTTP servlet request and response, sir. Add method does not have. So for the add method, I will accept request and response. I will accept request and response. I hope you are able to understand this. Using the request, now I will get the item ID, menu item ID. I will get the quantity. I will call menu DAO implementation, get menu item by ID. I will get the item. I will add a quantity to the item and then create a cart item. I already have a class called as the cart item class. I will get the item from menu item. I will create a cart item and then I will pass it to this method called as the add method. I hope you are able to understand this. So the code now is with respect to menu.jsp, how I will add a quantity and add to cart. Then how I will call the cart servlet add to cart method. Right? I'll just show you those files, maybe menu.jsp and just give me a minute. But I hope you are able to understand this. Any confusion till here? Hello? నీది అయిపోయింది కదా. సిమిలర్ చేశారా మీరు? యూ డిడ్ సంథింగ్ డిఫరెంట్, జావా స్క్రిప్ట్. దెన్ you are storing it in database, huh? Then hash map. Okay, something similar only you would have done, but not exactly similar maybe. That's okay, but let me just show you those two files. One is the JSP, which is your menu.jsp, and also your other file. So give me a second. Right click new JSP, menu.jsp. And what is the other one? Cart servlet, right? All right. SRC main Java DAO controller new class all right. So you can just have a look at it here. I'll just reduce the screen size. Just a minute. All right. So look at this here. In your menu, anyways, you are displaying the menu items already. Only thing additional is, I am saying I want to call the cart here, but quantity you can see. You can see I am displaying the menu item name, description, etc. And the price also we are displaying. Then I am saying there is a button which I will have called as add to cart. So here I have a quantity which I will be storing. You know this, if you want you can write it like this. You can use it as an hidden item, or if you want you can say here only as cart what is it, item ID. Okay, I'll copy this. I will put it here as item ID is equal to, here only you can use an expression tag and copy this, paste it here. So one line you can eliminate, that's all, right? So you can write here as quantity, you are storing it one variable called as quantity, minimum value you are saying it as 1, and I have a submit button called as add to cart, and for this submit button I have a input type hidden, name is equal to action, value is equal to action. It is basically like a input tag, but in that input tag what I am saying, I am not collecting any data, I am making it as hidden tag. Input type is equal to hidden. It's not a text field, it's not a number, it's not email, it's hidden, which means it is not visible. But if I want this value, I can call this action. It is not compulsorily you should write it as action. You can write it here as maybe say whatever, I'll write it as ACT. I'll write it here as ACT. So if I write it like this as input type is hidden, name is equal to ACT, value is equal to add. Where should the control go now? Control should go to cart servlet or cart. So this is my cart servlet which I have mapped with cart. See, these are some other files, these are files which are not there. I'll anyways remove the import statements. So you can see I have a cart. What is this cart doing? It is creating one session, right? It is creating one session. Then it is creating a cart object. It is a cart servlet creating which object? Cart class object. You remember there is a class called as the cart class. Cart.java. This class object it is creating. Because that is where I have the add method and other methods which I need to call. So what is it doing? Have a look at it. If cart is null, which means if the cart object is null, it is saying session dot set attribute of cart. So cart object, it is not creating an object, rather it is trying to bring it from the session. In the session, do I have a cart? If you remember the cart, in the constructor of the cart, you would create a cart and add it to session. That is what we did. I don't have that file here. Cart class, I don't have it here. I'll show you. So what I'm doing here is I'm checking, boss, if the cart is null in the session, which means if the user is come to add to cart for the first time. I never added item to cart. Tell me, in my session will I have a cart object? See, one thing, there was also one student who told me some drive the other day, they asked a question based on session. Session, is it individual for each user, or session is a global for every user, one single session will be there, or it was a multiple choice question, every request will create a new session, something like this. So one thing you need to understand is session is a single object throughout the execution of my application, but for a single user. Assume that I will take this application, I will host it onto the internet. If I log in, my session will be different. If you log in on your computer, your session will be different. Instagram, I will only be able to see my profile. You will be able to see your profile. Why? The sessions are individual for every object, sir. In my session, only my related information will be there. So for a user, session is one single object throughout his execution. I hope you are able to understand this. But for multiple users, there will be multiple sessions, but all these multiple sessions will be individual sessions on their own systems. I hope you are able to understand this, right? So anyways, so I am checking if there is a cart. Since I am coming for the add to cart for the very first time, cart will anyways be null. If I say session dot get attribute of cart, it is going to be null. So I will create a new cart object, add it to the session. So that next time when I come from the session, I will be having readily cart available. Right? Now see here, it is getting the action parameter. Since I have changed it as ACT, here also I will change it as ACT. What is that I am doing with the action parameter? I am checking if action equals to add. If it is equal to add, I am calling add to cart. If it is equal to update, I will call update cart. If it is equal to remove, I will call remove cart. I hope you are able to understand this. Now what is there in add to cart? Sir, you can see add to cart is a method which is accepting HTTP request and cart. It needs a cart, no? So only one cart I will be sending and request I will send. Why request, sir? Because I need to get the item ID and the quantity. I need to get the item ID and the quantity. Once I get the item ID, what will I do with this? I need to go to the menu DAO, sir. I need to get an item, entire item details about the item ID. Menu ID 1 is item ID now. Item ID 1, the entire details I want to get, create one cart item, add it to cart. That is what I am supposed to do. So you can see here, I will go to the menu DAO implementation. I will call get menu method based on the ID. Get menu based on ID, what will it do? One individual menu item it will give me. I will bring that individual menu item. I will take the menu item, I will check. If menu item is having details, then all that information I will pass. But in this information, quantity also I will pass to which item? Cart item class object. I am taking, see, basically, I have a menu item, sorry. I have a menu item. Looking at the menu item, I want to create a cart item. I hope you are able to understand this. In menu item and cart item, one difference is it will have menu ID, restaurant ID, then what else information does it have? It has item name and it has price. This is what is your menu item having. But if you look at the cart item, your cart item will have all this information. Along with all this information, your cart item will also have information needed about quantity. Where is this quantity, sir? The user has entered in the front end. Add 1 quantity, add 6 quantity. So that quantity I will get. So you can see here, I have got that quantity. Whatever the quantity I have got, I am passing it here. I will create a cart item now. What should I do with this cart item? Sir, already there is a class called as the cart.java in which there is an add method. If you simply give this cart item to the add method, it will add. So see here, that is what I am doing. I am creating a cart item and I am saying cart.add item. I am saying cart.add item. I hope you are able to understand what is that you are supposed to do. See, if you feel, maybe sir, for adding the item to a cart, I will have a separate servlet. For updating an item, separate servlet. For deleting an item, I will have a separate servlet. Then this portion of the code you can ignore. You can ignore this portion of the code. Instead of writing this portion of the code, what you will do is directly these lines you will write it here. Directly these lines you will write it here. Only thing is, once the cart is added, you will again set the cart back to the session. You will set the cart back to the session and you will redirect the control to cart.jsp. See, what should happen in cart.jsp, we will have a look at it. But for now, what I want you to do is, I want you to write this much. So maybe I will reduce the code size a little, so that everything you can see in one single line. So I'll maybe remove all of this. Right. So I hope you are able to see the code here. So menu.jsp also, I will keep it to one corner, so that all you have to do in menu.jsp is just that you will add a form action, that's all. Right. So can you try this? Yes. See, with respect to adding the item into the map, already you have written it in your cart.java. Already you have written it inside cart.java. Now only thing is that cart.java add method, how you will call. I hope you are able to understand this. Can you try this? Yes. So start it. I'll just move around. If you have any doubts, you can put it across. Right? Be quick. Try it. I'll stop this recording here.